Washington, D.C. awoke on April 20th, 2025, under a sky bruised with purple and orange, the Potomac River shimmering like molten glass. The federal courthouse, a neoclassical monolith of marble and resolve, stood sentinel over the city, its columns casting long shadows. But this was no ordinary morning. The air buzzed with anticipation, thick with the weight of history. Crowds gathered outside, a mosaic of voices. Journalists scribbling furiously, activists clutching signs that read, "Citizenship is a right, not a slogan," and counter-protesters shouting, "America first." Police barricades strained against the swell of bodies, their blue lights pulsing like heartbeats. Above, a news helicopter droned, its blades slicing the dawn. At the courthouse entrance, a bronze plaque gleamed. "Justice is the foundation of liberty." Above it, a banner fluttered in the breeze. U.S. Citizenship Trial, Day 1. On X, the hashtag Kilmar case trended globally, posts flooding in like a digital tide. One user wrote, "This trial judges America's soul." Who is Kilmar Garcia? Another, security or freedom? Choose. A grainy video of an 8-year-old boy, Mateo Garcia, reading a letter to his deported father, had gone viral, racking up millions of views. The boy's trembling voice haunted the platform, a ghost in the machine. Inside the courthouse, the marble corridors echoed with footsteps. Raphael Turner, a civil rights attorney in his 40s, stood alone, clutching a coffee cup gone cold. His suit was slightly rumpled, his eyes shadowed from sleepless nights. He stared at a painting on the wall, Lady Justice, blindfolded, her scales tipped ever so slightly. "Please," he thought, "let your blindness be true today." His assistant, Lila Chun, hurried toward him, her tablet glowing with new documents. "Raphael, I just submitted more files," she said, her voice tight. "They're doubling down." Raphael nodded, his jaw set. "Let them. We're ready." The courtroom was a cathedral of law, its high ceilings and polished oak pews imbued with solemnity. American flags flanked the judge's bench, their stars glinting under fluorescent light. The room was packed, the air heavy with whispers and the scratch of pens. Reporters from the New York Times, CNN, and Fox News jostled for space, their cameras turning the trial into a national spectacle. In the front row, Maria Garcia, Kilmar's mother, sat with her hands clasped, her black shawl slipping from her shoulders. Beside her, Mateo, Kilmar's son, clutched a faded photograph of his father, his small face a mask of hope and fear. Clara, Kilmar's younger sister, scribbled in a notebook, her journalist's instincts sharp despite her grief. In the back, ICE agents in dark suits sat stone-faced, their leader, Agent Daniel Holt, flipping through a thick dossier. Beside him, Emily Ruiz, a young agent, shifted uncomfortably, her conscience pricked by the case. Activists, law students, and international observers filled the remaining seats, their eyes fixed on the bench where Chief Judge Eleanor Graves would preside. At 62, Graves was a legend, her gray hair pulled into a tight bun, her gaze piercing yet impartial. She had seen countless cases, but this one felt different, a crucible for the nation's principles. Graves entered, her black robe sweeping the floor. The room rose as one, a rustle of respect. She tapped her gavel, the sound sharp as a gunshot. "Be seated," she said, her voice steady. "Today we convene a trial that tests not just one man's fate, but the foundations of our Constitution, our definition of citizenship, and the integrity of our justice system." The plaintiff, Kilmar Garcia. The defendant, the United States government. The issue, alleged unlawful revocation of citizenship and illegal deportation. Are the parties and witnesses present? The court clerk nodded, her hands swift over a stack of files. All present, Your Honor. Graves leaned forward, her eyes scanning the room. Very well. Who speaks for the plaintiff? Raphael Turner rose, his heart pounding. He was no stranger to high-stakes cases, but this one was personal. Kilmar wasn't just a client. He was a symbol of every injustice Raphael had fought against. He held up a folder, its pages marked with neon tabs. Your Honor, members of the court, he began, his voice clear. We are here to right a wrong. My client, Kilmar Garcia, was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1987. He is an American citizen. We have his birth certificate, social security number, tax records, and a court-issued protective order. Yet, despite this, he was deported by ICE based on a secret document with no legal basis. He was denied counsel, cut off from his family, and shipped to El Salvador, a country he doesn't know. This is not a mistake. This is a deliberate violation of an American's rights. And this trial is not just about Kilmar. It's about whether our system can still protect the vulnerable. The room stirred. Maria wiped her eyes, her fingers trembling. Mateo stared at Raphael, clinging to every word. Clara's pen flew across her notebook, capturing the moment for her article. On X, a post surged. Raphael Turner just set the courtroom on fire. Hashtag Kilmar case. Graves raised a hand for silence. Thank you, Mr. Turner. Who speaks for the defendant? Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary, stood, her blonde hair gleaming under the lights. At 32, she was a rising star in the administration, her confidence honed by years of defending tough policies. Your Honor, she said, her tone smooth, I represent the United States government. The President's sworn duty is to protect this nation. Kilmar Garcia's name appeared on intelligence reports linked to security risks, frequent address changes, multiple passport applications, suspicious digital contacts, and indirect ties to monitored groups. This case is not about citizenship status, but about a necessary action to neutralize a potential threat. The government acted within its constitutional authority, and we ask this court to affirm our right to safeguard the public. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Activists shook their heads, their faces tight with anger. Agent Holt nodded approvingly, but Emily Ruiz looked away, her hands fidgeting. A Fox News reporter scribbled, National security argument hits hard. Raphael shot to his feet, his voice sharp. Your Honor, objection. Potential threat is a political buzzword, not a legal standard. There are no charges against my client, no indictment, no court order. Yet he was ripped from his home at 3 a.m., his passport on the table, and sent to El Salvador. This isn't justice, it's tyranny. Graves' expression remained unreadable. Mr. Turner, keep your arguments grounded. Ms. Levitt, I expect concrete evidence. Potential threat won't suffice in this courtroom. Proceed. Kilmar Garcia came into the world on a humid June night in 1987 in a Baltimore hospital where the air smelled of antiseptic and hope. Maria, barely 20, held her newborn son, his tiny fists curled against her chest. Jose, her husband, stood beside her, his calloused hands gentle as he touched Kilmar's head. He's our American dream, Maria whispered, her voice thick with exhaustion and joy. The nurse handed them a birth certificate, its ink still fresh. Kilmar Garcia, born in the United States, a citizen by right. Kilmar's childhood unfolded in Baltimore's vibrant, gritty streets. The neighborhood was a patchwork of Latin American families, their porches alive with salsa music and laughter, but shadowed by poverty and gang violence. At school, Kilmar shone, his quick mind solving math problems that stumped his peers. His teacher, Mrs. Carter, saw something special in him. "You're going places, Kilmar," she said, handing him a notebook. "Write your dreams here." That night he scrawled, "They'll take my son to the White House someday." Back in the courtroom, Jamie Raskin, a congressman and constitutional scholar, took the witness stand. His gray suit crisp, but his eyes weary. He held a worn copy of the Constitution, its pages dog-eared from years of teaching. "Your Honor," he began, his voice resonant, "the 14th Amendment is unequivocal. Anyone born on U.S. soil, subject to its jurisdiction, is a citizen. Kilmar Garcia is that citizen. His rights cannot be erased by a memo or a tweet. This trial asks whether citizenship can be reduced to a political tool. If it can, none of us are safe." Caroline interrupted, her tone icy. "Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Raskin's rhetoric is emotional, not legal. Federal Regulation 219 grants the government emergency powers for public safety. Mr. Garcia's file warranted action. Graves waved her off. Overruled. Continue, Mr. Raskin, but stay focused." Raskin nodded. "The 14th Amendment isn't just law, it's a promise." Kilmar's Deportation recalls dark chapters, like the internment of Japanese Americans. If we let this stand, we risk repeating history. The room buzzed, some clapping, until Graves' gavel silenced them. Adam Schiff, another congressman and former prosecutor, followed, his briefcase stuffed with documents. He held up an icy memo, his voice steady. "This internal correspondence confirms Kilmar Garcia's citizenship, born in Maryland, protected by a court order. Yet a note reads, 'Expedite due to political risk.' Political risk, Your Honor? That's not a legal term. It's a power grab." He produced another file. ICE's own rules require judicial review for citizen deportations. None occurred. This was no error. It was deliberate. Caroline leapt up. "Objection. These documents lack context. Intelligence data is classified." Schiff countered. "Then explain why ICE ignored its own protocols, Ms. Levitt. The 220th regulation demands oversight." Where was it? The crowd gasped, reporters typing furiously. On X, a post exploded. "Schiff just gutted ICE's case. Hashtag Kilmar case." Graves accepted the documents, her face impassive. "They'll be entered into evidence." "Anything further, Mr. Turner?" Raphael stood, his voice soft but firm. "Yes, Your Honor. We have a video from Kilmar, recorded in El Salvador. He deserves to be heard." The screen flickered, revealing a dim cell, its concrete walls stained. Kilmar sat on a stool, his gray shirt clinging to his frame, his eyes hollow but defiant. Kilmar Garcia," he said, his voice steady despite the shaking camera. "I was born in Baltimore. I paid taxes, raised my son, lived by the rules. But one morning, ICE broke down my door. My passport was right there. They didn't let me call my lawyer. I heard Mateo screaming, but I couldn't hold him. They flew me to El Salvador, a place I don't know. This wasn't a mistake. My papers were clear. This was silence. No one stopped them." His voice cracked. "Mateo calls my number every night, but it's not mine anymore. Tell him. Daddy's coming home." The video ended, and silence swallowed the room. Maria sobbed. Mateo buried his face in her arm. Clara's pen trembled, ink blotting her page. Even Graves blinked, her composure wavering. On X, the video spread like wildfire. Kilmar's words broke me. He's one of us. Hashtag Kilmar case. In a detention center in El Salvador, Kilmar sat in his cell, the air thick with humidity. A single bulb flickered above, casting jagged shadows. He held a crumpled drawing for Mateo, an astronaut soaring among stars. It was all he had left of home. "I'm still here, buddy," he thought, tracing the crayon lines. "I won't give up." Outside, a guard named Miguel approached, his boots scuffing the concrete. He slid a water bottle through the bars, his eyes kind. "Why are you here, amigo?" he asked in Spanish. "You say you have papers." Kilmar met his gaze. "I do. Born in America. But no one listens." Miguel sighed, glancing away. "Justice is blind, they say. But sometimes it's deaf too." Far from the center, in a rural village, Kilmar's Aunt Rosa knelt in a small church, lighting a candle for her nephew. The flame danced, casting light on her weathered face. "He was a baby when I last saw him," she told Padre Luis, the village priest. "We were so proud when he became American. Now this?" Luis placed a hand on her shoulder. "God sees the truth, Rosa. But men must act." In the village, Kilmar's story had sparked a quiet rebellion. Young people posted on X, their hashtags joining the global chorus. As the trial paused for lunch, the courthouse steps became a battleground of ideals. Activists led by Sofia Alvarez, a fiery human rights advocate, chanted, "Justice for Kilmar." Sofia's megaphone boomed, "This is our fight. If they silence Kilmar, they silence us all." Counter-protesters shouted back, "Enforce the law." Police tightened their lines, sweat beading on their brows. Clara moved through the crowd, interviewing activists for her article, her recorder capturing the chaos. "Your brother's story is waking people up," Sofia told her. Clara nodded, her resolve hardening. On X, the trial dominated feeds. Kilmar's video had millions of views, comments ranging from "he's a citizen, bring him home," to "ICE did its job, safety first." News channels looped the footage, pundits clashing. A CNN anchor declared, "This is a constitutional crisis." A Fox commentator countered, "Security trumps sentimentality." Inside, Rafael retreated to a corridor, staring at a photo of Mateo on his phone. Lila approached, her voice urgent. "We got a tip from an ICE insider. Kilmar's file was flagged by a White House directive for political optics." Rafael's eyes narrowed. "If we can prove it, we win. But we need that source to come forward." Meanwhile, Caroline huddled with Agent Holt in a private room, papers strewn across the table. "Shifts move hurt us," she said, her voice low. "We need to pivot. Push Garcia's digital footprint. Make him look risky." Holt nodded, but Emily Ruiz hesitated. "What if he's innocent?" she asked. Caroline's smile was cold. "Innocence is for courts to decide, Agent. Our job is to protect the narrative." That afternoon, the courtroom crackled with tension. Rafael called Maria to the stand, her steps faltering, but her spirit unbroken. "Kilmar is my son," she said, her voice quavering. "He was born here, worked hard, loved his boy. That morning, they broke our door. Mateo screamed for his daddy, but they took him. Would you stay silent if it was your child?" Tears streamed down her face, and Mateo wept, clutching her hand. The room felt the weight of her words, even Caroline shifting uncomfortably. Then a bombshell. Lila slipped Raphael a sealed envelope. He rose, his voice steady. Your Honor, we present a leaked IC document. It states Kilmar's deportation was ordered by a senior White House official to send a message. No legal basis, just politics. The crowd gasped. Caroline shot up. Objection. This is unverified. Graves took the document, her eyes scanning the text. It will be reviewed. How did you obtain this, Mr. Turner? A whistleblower chose truth over silence, Raphael said. In the back, Emily Ruiz's face paled. She was the source, her conscience finally breaking free. As evening fell, Graves addressed the room, her voice a beacon in the storm. This court will review all evidence. But let me be clear, a president's words are not law. Citizenship cannot be a campaign slogan. She paused, her gaze sweeping the crowd. The verdict will be announced next week. Court adjourned. Raphael hugged Mateo, the boy's tears soaking his shirt. Maria prayed silently, her rosary beads clicking. Clara closed her notebook, her story ready to shake the world. Outside, activists lit candles, their vigil a silent promise. On X, a final post, Kilmar's fight is ours. Hashtag Kilmar case. The courthouse stood quiet under the stars, but its walls echoed with a citizen's cry for justice.